Life of a designer, you feel me? Appreciate everybody that's been tapping in, showing love. Definitely, appreciate everybody that's been, liking, subscribing, sharing with their friends and family. We need y'all to do that so that way we can continue to grow, continue to, be who we plan to be. You feel me? Our motto is visualize, your purpose. And the main goal here is, to show y'all the behind the scenes, give y'all the mindset of a designer, creative director, fashion designer, brand owner, just to show you what it takes in order to build your brand successfully. You feel me? So, like I said, make sure that you like and subscribe so that way we continue to grow. Make sure you share with your friends and family so that way they can catch these gems that we're dropping here at Dreams of World of Street Fashion. And also make sure you check out our From the Mud collection, which is on available on our website. We got the streaming and spoken word on all streaming platforms. And then we also got our poetry book From the Mud available on all book platforms and at your local library. So make sure you tap in, show love, start, vibing with the pain, the pressure, and the struggle that turned into transformation and growth. What we're going to be talking about tonight is the psychology of the drop. You feel me? Why you suddenly want what you didn't need yesterday. You feel me? The core question is tonight, and we always open up with a core question. All the day ones understand and know this. The question is, does a fashion brand create genuine desire or manufacture urgency? Now, with this episode, we're going, tap in a little bit more deeper than, explaining how drops work. You feel me? The real conversation is about how fashion turns time, scarcity, anticipation, belonging into desire. You feel me? I didn't want it yesterday. It's a typical thing that, people probably think in their heads when they're getting ready to buy something that just hit the market. You feel me? Yesterday didn't need it. Today, the release time. You've been thinking about it all day. Suddenly you feel like you have to do it. And what changed? The product didn't necessarily change. The perception of the product changed. You feel me? Introducing, the psychology behind it. You feel me? You got the exposure. That's what, you watching on TV, the internet, or whatever. You feel me? The anticipation, the time between its actual release, the desire, the urgency, and action. Appreciate everybody that's tapped in so far. Make sure that y'all like, subscribe, share with your friends and family so that way we can get, so that way y'all can get all the gems that we dropping here at Dreams of Rulers. What we talking about tonight is the psychology of the drop. Anticipation is part of the product. A drop doesn't, begin when the product becomes available. It begins when people learn that it's coming. With the teasers, the behind the scenes, first looks, mysterious imagery, release dates, you feel me? Countdown posts, conversations before launch. The waiting becomes part of the experience. For Dreams of Rulers, this could mean letting, people experience the development of a collection rather than only revealing the finished garment. And that's why, I started Day in the Life of a Designer. I honestly wanted to wait for that jump, wait for the brand to grow a little bit more. So that way I can show you, what each person's, job is. Show you, not only the behind the scenes, the mindset, but the day-to-day work ethic that it takes in order to build solid brand, the work ethic it takes from each individual that has, a role. And, ultimately, scarcity changes perception. So we thought to, just do this, get it started, you feel me? So that way y'all can already see, you know, where we coming from, the environment we in, everything that, is a part of my life and experiences, you get a glimpse of, you feel me? And with scarcity changing, perception, why does limited change how we perceive something, you feel me? Once somebody see limited, everybody ready to buy that shit, even if that shit trash. I literally see on Complex every day, well, niggas literally fucking post new drops of new shit, and they show you the little vote meters and shit, and you see like people always glazing. They'll never, what I'm saying, tell the truth about whether that shit was a hot, new release or it's about to be a hot new release. They always glaze that shit to make it seem like that shit is a hot new release, when a lot of times these brands just be repeating something that was already created, or literally just, added their little touch to it. You feel me? So scarcity creates rarity, competition, fear of missing out, perceived importance, but there's an important distinction. Real scarcity, the product genuinely has limited production. Manufacturer scarcity, the brand artificially limits availability primarily to create urgency. You feel me? If I had 500 pieces sitting in a warehouse, but you tell me there's only 50 available, am I creating value or manipulating you? And that's where the episode gets interesting, right? You know what I'm saying? FOMO. You feel me? What's good, cuz? Appreciate you for tapping in. Appreciate you for commenting. If you got any thoughts, feel free. Feel me? What we talking about tonight is the psychology of the drop. So make sure that you share with your friends and family so they can catch these gems we dropping. You feel me? What's good, Charlie? Appreciate you. But FOMO, fear of missing out, is powerful because the customer isn't only imagining owning the product. They're imagining not owning it. That's a complete different psychological experience. You feel me? The thoughts become, what if I wait and it's gone? Now the customer isn't evaluating, do I actually want this? They're evaluating, can I afford to miss this? That's the psychological shift. Exclusivity versus accessibility. Luxury has historically used exclusivity as part of its apparel. You feel me? But street luxury introduces, an interesting tension. You want exclusivity without artificial elitism. You feel me? Pretty much, you don't want to be capping on your customer. You want to be able to, show your customer that everything you're doing is authentic, whether it is, a limited drop or whatever. But, you got to ask who gets access, what makes something special. Should everybody be able to buy every piece? Should certain pieces be permanently limited? And should access be earned through participation? You feel me? Instead of simply saying, you can't have this philosophy could become, this particular piece belongs to this particular chapter. The collection eventually becomes an archive. You feel me? Waiting creates emotional investment. Why does waiting sometimes make people want something more? Because anticipation gives, the brain time to build a story around the product. You feel me? You got to imagine wearing it, where you'll, wear it at, how you'll look, who will notice. What's good? Appreciate you. Make sure that you subscribe, so that way you can, become a day one. You feel me? Appreciate you for today being your first day. So let's, make it a journey, join the community. Appreciate you. What we talking about tonight is the psychology of the drop. Pretty much, breaking down the mindset behind it. You feel me? So, we're getting towards the end. By the release date, you're not just buying fabric, you're buying the imagine, experience. You feel me? The drop creates community. This is the part brands often overlook. A successful drop can become a shared cultural moment. You feel me? You gotta, people gotta wait together, talk about the release, share, screenshots, show what they bought, discuss what they sold, compare pricing and pieces. The purchase becomes a form of participation. For Dreams of Rulers, this connection directly connects to our our distinction between, customers and believers. We had a day in the life of a designer episode where we talked about why I don't want customers. And like I've said, multiple times, it's not that I don't want customers. It's more so that I don't want people to just buy the product. Sorry, bro. Dealing with nut ass kids walking past a homeless dude, bro. Like they ain't never seen a homeless kid before. We in Philly. Like, come on, bro. Dude ain't showered. Get over it. A believer simply is waiting to purchase. They're watching the story unfold. Does every brand need a drop? No. But, sometimes you just got to change the model of what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? In order to spark, some influence to your customer and audience. Why are, we all releasing clothes the same way? That's the main question I ask myself every day. You feel me? Drop culture can create problems. Constant urgency, consumer fatigue, artificial scarcity. You feel me? Short attention cycles, brand constantly chasing the next release, and products becoming disposable moments. What happens when everything is a drop? Nothing feels special anymore. The Dreams of Rulers approach is, you separate Dreams of Rulers from generic drop culture. The question shouldn't be how do we make people panically buy, but how do we make people, care before the product becomes available. And, that's a major difference. Building, desire through meaning, design, story, anticipation, and access rather than hype, countdown, panic, and, purchase. Street luxury connection to all this understands community and cultural anticipation. Luxury understands, rarity, craftsmanship, and exclusivity. That's where street luxury combines those ideas without reducing anything to FOMO. You feel me? Fear of missing out. Maybe the, most powerful drop isn't the one that makes people afraid they'll miss something. Maybe it's the one that makes people feel like, they were waiting for something they didn't even know they needed. That's the difference between manufacturing urgency and creating desire. If I remove the countdown, the scarcity, the hype, and the fear of missing out, would Dreams of Rulers pieces still be desirable? And that's ultimately the real test for your brand and my brand. You feel me? So if the answer is yes, you build desire into the product. And for us, the answer is no, because we haven't built desire into the product yet. You feel me? And that's just part of the journey. Sometimes, when you first start out, it be like that. You feel everybody be on your dick, glazing, buying everything that you got in the shop. But then, for most of us, you got to grind. You got to, build your concepts, learn from your mistakes, and, ultimately keep going. Because, everybody has a short attention span nowadays. Then on top of that, everybody's about themselves. They ain't even about nobody else like our parents were. And then on top of that, a lot of people just fuck people. Like they just ain't shit. They ain't about shit. They ain't got shit going on for themselves and won't have shit going on. So, it's just a part of understanding these things, the psychology of the way people got to live today, along with the psychology of the drop, psychology of fashion. You feel me? And that's ultimately some of the principles that you build your brand on, understanding these things. You feel me? So, like I always say, it really just takes a solid plan, research, execution, and your dreams and goals will come to fruition. But you got to stay at it. You got to stay, persistent, consistent, disciplined, and focused. And I promise you, your dreams and goals will come to fruition. So keep visualizing. I'll check y'all tomorrow. We'll be actually going to the podcast studio around 7:30. So make sure you tap in on the live. Check us out. We're gonna be showing the whole process. Keep visualizing. I'm out.